Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Dear students, the topic of our today's discussion is rabies, which is a viral zoonotic disease. Rabies, also known as hydrophobia, is an acute, highly fatal viral disease of the central nervous system, and this disease is caused by Lissa virus type 1. It is primarily a zoonotic disease of warm-blooded animals, particularly carnivorous animals such as dogs, cats, jackals, and wolves. It is transmitted to man, usually by the bites and/or licks of the rabid animals. Classical hydrophobia is clinically characterized by a long and variable incubation period, a short period of illness due to encephalomyelitis, ending in death despite the intensive care. It is the only communicable disease of man that is always fatal. Rabies is an enzootic and epizootic disease of worldwide importance. Some countries they have achieved the rabies-free status by vigorous campaigns of elimination, while in other countries the disease has never been introduced. Water appears to be the most effective natural barrier to rabies. In Australia, China, Taiwan, Iceland, Japan, Malta, New Zealand, and few other countries they are free of the disease. Rabies occurs in more than 150 countries and territories. Although a large number of carnivorous animals and bat species they serve as a natural reservoir. However, rabies in dogs is the source of 99% of human infection and poses a potential threat to more than 3.3 billion people. In a number of countries, human deaths from rabies they are likely to be grossly underreported, particularly in the youngest age groups. However, vast majority of the estimated 55,000 deaths caused by rabies each year occur in the rural areas of Africa and Asia. This map is showing you the different risk areas of rabies. The dark colors they represent the high risk areas for rabies, and these dark colors they mostly represent the Asian countries and the African countries. Now we will discuss the epidemiological determinants of rabies. First of all, agent factors. Lissa virus type 1 is a bullet-shaped neurotropic RNA containing virus, and it belongs to the family Rhabdoviridae serotype 1. This is this Lissa virus type 1 is the causative agent of rabies. There are other serotypes of Lissa virus which include serotype 2, 3 and 4. They don't cause rabies but they cause rabies-like illness in man. This virus is excreted in the saliva of the affected animals. The virus which is recovered from the naturally occurring cases of the rabies is called street virus, while after passage through serial brain-to-brain of the street virus in rabies modifies the street virus in such a way that the incubation period is progressively reduced until it becomes constant between 4 to 6 days. This virus is known as fixed virus, and the fixed virus is used in the preparation of anti-rabies vaccines. Saliva of rabid animals is the source of infection to humans. Now, not all the rabid animals they have virus in their saliva. Virus may persist in the saliva of rabid cats and dogs for 3 to 4 days before the onset of clinical symptoms and during the course of illness till death. Now we will discuss the host factors. All the warm-blooded animals they are susceptible to rabies. Rabies in man is a dead-end infection and has no survival value for the virus. laboratory staff working with the rabies virus, veterinarians, dog handlers, hunters, and field naturalists, they are at high risk of acquiring the rabies infection. Modes of transmission. Rabies can be transmitted by the animal bites. In animal bites, dog bite is the most commonest for the transmission of rabies. However, horse, monkeys, cats, goat, sheep, and donkeys bites, they can also transmit the rabies. Licks, licks on the abraded skin or mucosa can also cause rabies. Then rarely aerosol can be the source of transmission of rabies, especially in caves having bats. Person-to-person transmission is rare but possible, and also it can also occur through the transplanted organs. Incubation period in man is highly variable, but commonly it is around 1 to 3 months following exposure, but it may vary from 7 days to many years. The incubation period basically depends on the site of the bite and the severity of the bite, the number of wounds, the species of the biting animal, the amount of virus which is injected by the biting animal, protection provided by the clothing, and the treatment following the bite. Incubation period is much shorter in case of bites on the neck, face, and upper extremities, and in case of mild animals. Prodromal symptoms include headache, malaise, sore throat, and slighter fever lasting for 3 to 4 days. Pain and tingling at the site of bite occurs in 80% of the cases, and it is quite specific, followed by the widespread excitation of the nervous system involving in order, that is sensory, motor, sympathetic, and then the mental system. Then the intolerance to noise, bright light, cold, and aerophobia occurs. Increased reflexes and muscular spasm occurs, dilatation of pupil, increased lacrimation, salivation, and perspiration. Fear of death, anger, irritability, and depression. They are all the clinical features of rabies. Hydrophobia occurs at later stages. Duration of illness is 2 to 3 days but may prolong to 5 to 6 days in rare cases. Paralysis and coma may follow. Death occurs during one of the convulsive episodes. Diagnosis of rabies is typically based on history and examination. Virus can also be isolated from saliva and immunofluorescence of skin biopsy. Treatment. First of all, patient should be isolated in a quiet room which is protected from external stimuli such as bright light, noise, or cold, because these external stimuli, they may precipitate spasm or convulsions. Then sedatives to relieve the anxiety. To relieve anxiety, morphine is generally used. Hydration and diuresis should be maintained. Intensive therapy in the form of respiratory and cardiac support should be given. Now remember, patients with rabies, they are potentially infectious because the virus may be present in the saliva, vomits, tears, urine, and other body fluids. So nursing personals, they should take proper precautions. That is, they should wear the face mask, gloves, goggles, and aprons to protect themselves. Prevention of rabies can be considered in three different scenarios: post-exposure prophylaxis, pre-exposure prophylaxis, and post-exposure treatment of the persons who have been vaccinated previously. Now we will discuss each of these prophylaxis in detail in the coming slides. Post-exposure prophylaxis can be considered under the headings of general consideration, local treatment of wound, and immunization, which we are going to discuss in detail. The aim of post-exposure prophylaxis is to neutralize the inoculated virus before it can reach the central nervous system. Every instance of human exposure should be treated as a medical emergency. It is now well established that irrespective of the class of wound, the combined administration of a single dose of rabies immunoglobulin, if indicated with a course of vaccine, together with the local treatment of the wound, is the best specific prophylactic treatment after the exposure of man to rabies. Local treatment of the wound. Adequate local treatment of all the bites, wounds, and the scratches is very important. The purpose of local treatment is basically to remove the virus from the bites before it can be absorbed to nerve endings. The local treatment of wound includes cleaning, immediate flushing and washing the wounds, scratches, and the adjoining areas should be done with plenty of soap and water. If soap is not available, simple flushing of the wound with plenty of water should be done as first aid. In case of punctured wounds, catheters they should be used to irrigate the wounds. Chemical treatment. Antiviral agents should be used in order to inactivate the remaining virus. For this purpose, alcohol, tincture, or aqueous solution of iodine or povidone iodine can be used. Suturing. Bite wounds should not be immediately sutured to prevent the additional trauma which may help spread the virus into deeper tissues. Then comes the antibiotics and anti-tetanus. The application of antibiotics and anti-tetanus procedures when indicated should follow the local treatment as already described above. And the animal which has bitten, it should be observed for 10 days for any signs of rabidness. This table is showing you the categories of contact and the recommended post-exposure prophylaxis. There are three categories of contact with the suspected rabid animal and the appropriate post-exposure prophylactic measures. Category 1 includes touching or feeding animals and the licks on the intact skin. Post-exposure prophylaxis, you don't need to take any specific measure. Category 2, nibbling of uncovered skin, minor scratches or abrasions without bleeding. Post-exposure prophylactic measure includes immediate vaccination and local treatment of the wound. Category 3, single or multiple transdermal bites or scratches, licks on broken skin, contamination of mucous membrane with saliva from licks, contacts with bats. In that case, category 3 wounds, post-exposure prophylactic measures include immediate vaccination and administration of rabies immunoglobulin and also the local treatment of wound. Dear students, in post-exposure prophylaxis, we have discussed the general considerations. Then we have discussed the local treatment of wound. Now we will discuss the immunization. Aim of immunization is to establish the immune status as quickly as possible before the virus can enter the CNS. Serum antibodies they appear approximately 7 days after vaccination. Indication for anti-rabies immunization are if animal shows signs of rabies, if the biting animal cannot be traced, unprovoked bites, lab tests of brain of animals which are positive for rabies, and the all bites by wild animals. Combined treatment with rabies immunoglobulin and vaccine offers the best post-exposure prophylaxis. Vaccines for humans. Pasteur developed first rabies vaccine. Vaccines, they are basically derived from fixed virus grown in the neural tissues of rabbits, sheep, goat, mice, rats, embryonated duck eggs. There are three types of vaccines that are available. Nervous tissue vaccines, which are now less commonly used, duck embryo vaccines, and the cell culture vaccines. Vaccine administration. Tissue culture or purified duck embryo vaccines of potency at least 2.5 international units per single intramuscular immunizing dose should be applied. There are two types of schedule, intramuscular schedule and the abbreviated multi-site intramuscular schedule. In case of intramuscular schedule, 6 doses each in the dose of 0.5 to 1 ml on days 0, 3, 7, 14, 28 and a booster dose on day 90 is given into deltoid region or thighs, while in case of abbreviated multi-site intramuscular schedule, vaccine is given on days 0, 7 and 21 day and in the deltoid region. Adverse effects of vaccine may include local redness, pain, headache and fever. Rabies immunoglobulins. Rabies immunoglobulins can prolong the incubation period of the disease if administered soon after exposure. Rabies immunoglobulin for passive immunization is administered only once and preferably at or as soon as possible after the initiation of post-exposure vaccination. There are two types of preparations of anti-rabies serum that are available: horse anti-rabies serum and the human rabies immunoglobulins. Horse anti-rabies serum is given after checking for sensitivity, given on day 0 in a single dose intramuscularly in the gluteal region in the dose of 40 international units per kg body weight, and maximum that can be given is 3000 international units. Antihistamine can be given simultaneously, and this horse anti-rabies serum is infiltrated in and around the bite wound. Human rabies immunoglobulin is given in a single injection of 20 international units per kg body weight intramuscularly in the gluteal region. It is also infiltrated in and around the wound. Pre-exposure prophylaxis is recommended for laboratory workers, veterinarians, animal handlers, and wildlife personnel. Cell culture vaccine in the dose of 1 ml intramuscularly or 0.1 ml intradermally is given on days 0, 7 and 28 days, with booster doses at 2 years interval as long as the person is at high risk. Now in the third scenario, that is post-exposure prophylaxis for the people who are previously vaccinated. In that case, human diploid cell vaccine in the dose of 1 ml intramuscularly is given on days 0, 3 and 7 day. There is no need for passive immunization in this case. Now we will discuss the urban control of rabies. Since dogs, they are the major source of infection, so the most logical and the cost effective approach is basically the elimination of stray dogs. Immunization of animals. Quarantine of imported dogs should be done for 6 months. Registration and licensing of the pets should be done, and restriction of pets should be done at the public places. This concludes our today's lecture. Thank you very much.